Two friends walk into the hotel room. A man waiting for them there, well-dressed and composed. Three names he gives them: a priest, a librarian, a member of parliament. The task is simple, clean, professional. No drama, just 3 lives, ended without noise. A contract job and nothing more, at least on the surface. There's a knife on the table, and before either of them can react, their blood is mingled on the paper. And as this handshake lasts longer than it should, they realize that this is not just agreement. It's commitment. The contract lies between them, stained and sealed. No signatures needed. They've already given something more permanent. And as they walk out of there, the reality dawns on them that this isn't just a job anymore. It's a bond. Jay and Shell are a married couple going through a rough patch due to some financial problems. There is no full-blown argument, but the conversation they are having is tense. They're in their home in Sheffield, a normal house on a normal street, and they are at each other's throats. Jay has been out of work for 8 months. Something happened on a job in Kiev, and he won't talk about it. Since he came back, he has been drinking, rotting, getting angry over small things, and then going quiet in a way that's harder to deal with than the anger. Shell is holding the household together and is tired of doing both the father and mother's job. Shell is trying to shield her son Sam from all the tension between them. She offers on behalf of Jay to read a bedtime story to him. Later in the evening, Jay's friend Gal, who worked with him in the incident in Kiev, comes over. Gal comes for dinner with his new girlfriend Fiona. Gal is Jay's oldest friend and former work partner. Gal senses the tense atmosphere and tries to diffuse the situation with a few jokes. Fiona is warm and sociable. For a while, the dinner almost works. The discussions flow smoothly until the tension grows. Then something tips, and Jay and Shell are suddenly going at each other properly. Jay stands up and drags the tablecloth, clattering everyone's food all over and breaking the dishes. He walks away, and Shell follows him. Their voices are being heard, and they are shouting. Gal and Fiona retreat to the kitchen. Gal takes Sammy, their son, upstairs and takes him to sleep. He talks to him and then lulls him to sleep. The argument dissolves soon after. Later, when things have quieted down, Gal finds a moment alone with Jay. He has a job, a kill list, 3 targets. The money is serious, enough to sort Jay out, clear the debts, give the family relief from their financial burden. Jay doesn't want to hear it. He says that he is not ready to embark on a new job due to the fact that he has not fully recovered from the incident in Kiev. But Gal pressures him, and the financial reality presses harder. Jay thinks about the issues he has been going through, and since he doesn't have a job, he agrees to do it. Fiona asks to make use of the bathroom and is directed there. On getting there, she takes off the mirror from the wall and takes a knife, makes an inscription on the back of the mirror, takes a bloodied tissue and folds it up, and puts it in her bra. She stares at the mirror eerily. Then she returns to the dining room. She is smiling when she sits down. Nothing about her manner suggests she has just done anything unusual. The rest of the dinner continues on a lighter note. They drink and crack jokes, and then Gal and Fiona take their leave. They part ways on a warm note. The priest is first. Jay and Gal watch him for a while, long enough to establish that whatever he has done, he is not a man who deserves much sympathy. They watch him, he finishes with Mass, and goes back to his office not knowing that Jay and Gal have prepared the room for a clean and soundless operation. When Jay finally gets to him, and the moment arrives, the priest doesn't beg. He doesn't try to run or talk his way out of it. He looks at Jay, and he thanks him. Not in a distressed, confused way, sincerely, warmly, as though this is something he has been expecting and is genuinely relieved to see arrive. Jay kills him and walks away, but thanks follows him. He can't understand it. He is confused and deep in thought. He brings it up to Gal, and Gal tells him to let it go. He tells him that the man was unhinged and that criminals say strange things when they are frightened. He tells Jay to forget about it. Jay tries. Shell tells him that Fiona comes to visit her at home. The librarian is worse. When they get into his house, they find material that makes the nature of the man completely clear. Recordings, evidence, the kind of thing that takes you somewhere very dark, very quickly. They see videos that make them uncomfortable. Jay does not handle it well. The professional distance he has spent years constructing collapses entirely, and what comes out of him in the librarian's final moments is not clean, controlled, or professional. He begins to hit the librarian with a hammer and tortures him. His anger takes over and clouds his actions. It goes on longer than it needs to, and Gal has to pull him back eventually, and even then Jay is shaking. And then the librarian thanks him. Same words, same tone, same look in his eyes as the priest, as though Jay arriving was the best thing that had happened to him in a long time. Jay manages to find out the location of the people who joined the priest to carry out his disturbing actions, and he uses the same anger to kill them. Between the second and third job, Jay visits his doctor as his cut hand has become infected. The appointment is routine on the surface. The doctor refuses to take a look at the hand and asks him deeper questions. Around the same time, he wakes one night to find someone has been in the house. The family's cat is dead and hanging in the shed. It is clearly deliberate and clearly meant to communicate something, though what exactly and from whom is not at all clear. Jay doesn't tell Shell what he thinks it might mean. He and Shell decide that they should try to back out from the job and walk away with what they have. Gal finds some documents that make them question if they want to continue the job. There is a creeping feeling by this point that the targets on this list were not unaware of what was coming for them. Things in the librarian's house were arranged in a particular way. Small details that don't add up to anything individually but begin to accumulate into something that doesn't sit right. They approach their employers to walk away from the job and even offer to provide them with lookalikes. But the employers refuse and ask them to finish what they've started. It leads to a small tussle between Jay and the employer before they finally leave. Jay and Shell decide that Shell should take Sammy and go away to a cottage somewhere. The third target, the MP, leads them into the countryside, to a large estate. They follow him there at night, and what they find in the woods surrounding the property stops them. There is a procession moving through the trees, robed figures, in hoods, carrying flame torches. Some of the people are stark naked, and they watch as a woman climbs and hangs herself as the members of the cult begin to clap. It is a large procession. It is not a handful of people. The procession is very orderly and organized. Jay and Gal watch from the dark, and what scares them most is the quality of the people involved. Looking at them, at their build, the way they carry themselves, even in robes, these are people from the middle of society. The MP is among them. Jay and Gal move through the trees to keep pace with the procession, and the woods get darker and stranger around them. Jay's anger takes over him, and despite the procession outnumbering them greatly, he decides to shoot at them, disregarding Gal's warning. The procession turns feral and begins to pursue them. And then, Gal is killed. Jay goes to the cottage and cries to Shell. As he cries, they notice movement outside of the cottage. Jay turns off all the lights and decides to go out with his gun to check. He is knocked out. When he wakes, he is bound in a field. The cult members around him are not violent toward him. He is in a clearing where the cult has gathered in a wide circle. At the center is a figure, bound, hooded, and hunched over. The cult is arranged around the space like an audience. Jay understands, in some part of himself, what is expected of him, and he cannot stop it from happening, and he fights the figure in the center of the circle. Both of them are damaged. He finally gets the upper hand and stabs the figure multiple times. Jay wins. He pulls the hood back. It is Shell, his wife. She is dead. Beside her, also bound and costumed, is Sam, his son. Jay has just killed his wife. His son is lying next to her body. At that point, everything begins to fall into place for Jay. The dinner party, Fiona in the bathroom. The job offer arrives at exactly the right moment of financial desperation. The targets who thanked him as though they were honored by his presence. None of it was coincidence. He was identified. He walked here through events constructed around who he is and what he is capable of. His violence was the qualification. The cult celebrates. The cult members begin to clap rhythmically for Jay's actions and unmask themselves one after the other. The client from the hotel, the man Jay signed the contract with, Fiona, the MP. They put a wood crown upon Jay's head. It is a gesture of genuine respect. Jay kneels. The cult moves around him. It goes dark. In the end, Jay and Gal didn't stumble into the situation by accident. They were chosen. And Fiona, Gal's girlfriend, was never just a girlfriend. She was already part of the cult, placed in Gal's life on purpose to get close to Jay. The cult strategically picked him. He is a former soldier. He's killed before. He is struggling, financially, emotionally. He was vulnerable and he was desperate, making him the perfect candidate. He was exactly the kind of man they needed, not just someone capable of violence, but someone already traumatized by it. And once he was in, there was no getting out. They wanted a king, and in the old sacrificial traditions, the chosen man proves himself by destroying the thing he loves most. The cult didn't want Jay to kill a stranger. They wanted him to kill his wife and his son, the two people he would do anything to protect. When he does it, the ritual is complete. The crowd cheers. To them, Jay is not a murderer. He is their king. That's it for today's story, guys. But before you go, I gotta ask, if you were Jay and a friend came to you with a job that could clear all your debts overnight, where would your line be? Is there a version of desperation where you say yes? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more twisted stories like this.